continuing with the rights of spouses, Mullah Thani Rahmatullahi says, इन हुकूक को मर्दों ने उमूमन नज़रअंदाज कर रखा है. Generally, the husbands have discarded the rights of the wife with regards to teaching her deen. Very seldom will we find husbands pointing out a shortcoming in their wives in terms of the Sharia. In a Sharia example, this is called ghibat, which you are making. In a nice way. One doesn't have to do it in such a manner that they get more offended. But there are ways to bring it to the notice, which inshallah could have a better effect than just being at times very frank. I'm going to give you an example of Mullah Masula Rahmatullahi. Entire day he would be busy with the problems of people, and after supper, that's the time he had for his family, his wife, and she would narrate to him the complaints of the women folk that would come to her from the village. He would listen attentively, and if there was a situation where she herself, whilst narrating, pass in unwanted or unwarranted remark, he would smile, he would say, "Bus, enough now, let's carry on with the next one. What did that one say? Tell it this year." But he wouldn't keep quiet and allow her to say anything, to comment about personal matters in an inappropriate way. Let's just call it, if the conversation headed towards ghibat, he would just smile and say, "Bas, let's speak about something else now." So this was his right to in a kind way. The reprimand was made, and sometimes it can also be made in a bit more of a stricter tone. Mullah Thani Rahmatullahi had a very special khadim or attendant by the name of Niyaz. He was employed solely and only to ensure that whatever she may require from the bazaar, the market, etc., he would be the one that she would give an instruction to via somebody else, a child, or whatever. Obviously there was hijab. One day when Mullah Thani Rahmatullahi comes home, she was complaining. I send a message to him with a certain child to buy from the market certain things for me to cook. Until now he has done nothing. How am I supposed to cook? And look at the taklif I'm getting. And why does he carry on so independently? In a long list of complaints. What would we do? We'd say, "Just call him here, I'll sort him out." Overcome with love, we would jump to the defense of our wives. "Where is he? Come here. What am I paying you for?" But Mullah Thani, the khawf of Allah Ta'ala, when a person is the khawf of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, that khawf kicks in. Before doing anything, the first thing that would come to a person's mind, I want to make sure that I'm not contravening the law, the divine commands of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Like the first thing before you perform salah, alhamdulillah, we perform salah. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Do I have wuzu or not? Now, how spontaneous is that thought? Why? Alhamdulillah, we've made it a habit with Allah's fadl to perform salah. It's been ingrained. Salah without wuzu is not valid. And accordingly, no matter what we are doing, we say, "You know what? I have to make my wuzu." Similarly, these awliya, before they utter, before they listen further, I give the example of Mullah Masula Rahmatullahi. The first thing was, I must not contravene the law of Allah Ta'ala. I must be cautious here. There is one side of the narrative, one side of the story, and I can't just go and be a judge. I need to find the other side of the story. Accordingly, Mawlana Thanwi Rahmatullahi sent somebody go and call him. When he was called, again keeping the hijab in mind, Mawlana Thanwi asked him, a message was given to you to buy certain commodities for the house. Did you receive the message? He said, no. No one came to me. No one told me anything. Oh. She's saying, on the other hand, the wife is insisting, I sent a certain person, young boy, called the young boy. They found him. When he came, Mawlana Thanwi inquired from him, oh my son, Rebeta, this message was given to you. Look at how meticulous he was. He's tracking it from behind, from the back. Was the message first of all given to you? She says, yes. And did you give the message then to Niyaz Bhai? He said, I forgot. Jazakallah. Carry on. He didn't shout the boy. The boy is small. He told Niyaz, khair, koi baat nahi. Yeah, we can carry on. Now she was highly embarrassed. And she made a statement, you have disgraced me in front of the worker. She made a statement and she was upset. She was upset as it is because what was required was not brought. Now, husbands have to be very, very cautious. Listen here, marriage is a journey. This journey only comes to an end when a janaza goes. Until then, we are going to make mistakes. The wives will make mistakes. The husbands will make errors. The wife will commit huge blunders. One will provoke the other one will get angry, the other one will get upset. But if both are prepared to acknowledge, at least in their minds, in their own hearts, that there's for me a lot to learn still, then there is no reason why that marriage will break down. But if a person comes to this particular point, there's nothing that anyone can teach me about how to be a husband or a wife. It's a continuous journey. You will get good days, you will get calm days, there will be stormy days, there will be days where one party is very upset. But if both are committed, the thawab is so huge. When a husband leaves the house and he's happy and wife is also fine, Allah Ta'ala instructs an angel, a farishta, stand by the door there and write istighfar for them both until the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Until they keep on writing istighfar. Because it's a great mujahada, lot of striving to contain and restrict and just keep things under control. Never mind, let it go in. Who's going to fight about this? Who's going to argue about this here? So she was upset. When women require things, we should ensure that we get it for them. If we can't, then inform them. We can forget, they'll understand. But just to ignore them, then it's going to be a problem. She said she was upset. To top it all, she accused him already. She found him guilty before him. He's like this, he's already guilty. She was the judge, the jury, the executor, almost everything. Now, it was proven that she had jumped the gun. She went beforehand in order to nail him. And here her own husband, he burst the balloon. So she said, you disgraced me. One time he said, no, I have not disgraced you. You may feel disgraced, but on the day of Qiyamah, he would have had a case against me and you. At least you can make istighfar and I'll make up to him. At least you can make istighfar and I can make up to him for the obviously inconvenience he had to come and be accused. What are you going to do on the day of Qiyamah? And if I don't bring it to your notice here and do justice between both of you, on the day of Qiyamah you are not going to answer on my behalf. We've become so materialistic minded that in our minds there's no space now to think much of Qiyamah and accountability. It's only buying this, selling this, buying this, go here, go there. that there's no more place in the mind to entertain thoughts, what will I answer on the day of Qiyamah? The heart is so overwhelmed with the desire of dunya and long life and the glitter of the dunya, there is no place for the emotion of khawf to settle. You fear, you see your heart beating faster. There's no place for that in a heart, because a heart is completely filled with other things. May Allah make us maaf. There are exceptions to this rule and to this particular advice I've given from my side view, that we have to ensure that our focus, like how you drive, the driver looks at the front, in front. He looks in the front, he listens to the wife, he sees the scenery, he'll see the robot, he'll look at the clouds, he'll see him, but his mind is focused somewhere else. He may turn for a split moment at the passengers, but his mind is all the time alert. Similarly, we have to train our hearts and mind. I must be alert to the presence of Allah Ta'ala and to the scene of the day of Qiyamah, where I'm going to stand in front of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So Maulana Thanwi Rahmatullahi had mentioned that the husbands do not fulfill the rights, they don't reprimand their wives with regards to the deen. They will never encourage them to say Rido Ishraq or Chash, Awabin, Tahajjud. Tell them at times, you know what, try and stay more with wudu. If you are staying with wudu, there's more barakat in the food that you cook. Sort of slowly drawing them towards Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. They should expect one statement. Yeah, you think you're a very big buzurg. You may find that time, oh, you think you're a very big buzurg, you're giving bayan. Perhaps then the husband must think, okay, I mustn't give it in a bayan form. I must say I heard something or a certain person. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will open their minds then. He carries on further and says, यूँ चाहते हैं कि औरतें बांदियों की तरह महकूम और ताबी होकर रहा करे और कभी हमारी बात का उलट कर जवाब न दिया करे. Husbands nowadays just want their wives to be obedient to them, and they must be subordinate to their orders, and they must never have a single say and give a single wrong reply or untoward response. They expect she must be like on remote. She mustn't have any likes or dislikes. She mustn't air her views of what irritates her. She mustn't express her ambitions and objectives, or the need to perhaps go and visit somebody. No, that is very wrong. She's a human being in her own right. By her father's house, she could go wherever she wanted to with him. She could travel. She could eat however she wanted to. So husbands have to keep this also in mind, that listen here, they have got their rights which should be adhered to. और जो किसी ने ऐसा किया तो उसे बोलना, छालना, पास लेटना, बैठना सब मौकूफ कर देते हैं. In the event she does say something, then the words will come out, you just got a very big mouth. You and your big mouth. You are like this, you. And thereafter, worse. ये बहुत बेचा हरकत है. The worst of things that they do, they cease talking to their wives. They give them the cold treatment. They will not even eat with them. They perhaps may not even share the bed with them. Allah save us, Allah Pak save us. There's no names taken, so there's no ghibat, but we can judge from this just how hard a husband's heart can get. A certain husband, for 6 months, he never spoke to his wife. 6 months. He never suspended. He's in a house, he eats, sleeps, everything. 6 months. Give her a cold treatment. Is that any way to behave? Another husband had an argument with his wife, and they were going to Cape Town, which is very far from here. Whole journey, he doesn't speak one word. Allah save us. Allah mahfazna ya Rab. This is a condition, and I also said to say, we have to acknowledge it. Quite a few of these husbands, they've got topi, they've got kurta, they've got beards, they go in jamaat, in khankas, etc. And amongst their friends, they are the ones. they've got jokes to crack, and the guys who bring to life conversations and accompany people feel just to honor to be with them. And the Hazrat does, and when they go home, they are roaring like lions. They are roaring like lions. Allah Ta'ala save us from all our daughters and sisters, wherever they may be, from having such spouses, such husbands that are such zalimeen. नीज बाज़े मर्द यूँ चाहते हैं कि औरतें हमारी तरह तमीज़ और सदीक़ाश आकर होकर रहे. Some husbands feel, you know what, how we are cultured and how we are, they must also be in the same category all the time. इसीलिए जब किसी औरत से कोई बात बेतमीज़ी की हो जाती है तो उस पर सख्त सज़ा दी जाती है. Since they feel, you know what, we are so cultured and polite and what can call decent, in the event she says an untoward word, in the event she picks up an argument, then they punish her. Saza means what? Sakht, severe punishment. Allah save us. हालांकि औरतों का एक हक ये भी है कि उनकी बेतमीज़ी को गवारा क्या चाहिए. Whereas amongst, it's not a favor you are doing to your wife. It is not a favor you are doing to your wife. If she is perhaps a very, I'm trying to find, angry and she's upset and she speaks things that are nonsensical, call it rubbish, etc., it's her right that you keep quiet. It's her right. Allah Ta'ala give you full aqal. You have to, if you just let go and react according to her, you have not fulfilled her rights. I'll read it again. I'm not saying it. It's from the kitab here, Khutubat Hakimul Ummat, Hukuk Zawjain. It is on page 25. It's more or less in the middle of the page. Again, Mawlana Thanwa says, हालांकि औरतों का एक हक ये भी है कि उनकी बेतमीज़ी को गवारा किया जाए. Whereas the reality is this here, that the wives, amongst the wives' rights is this here, that if she is bad-mannered, that is the word, then that you tolerate it. She may speak bad about your sisters and your mother. Yes, your mother just comes here, and your mother and your sister and your mother and your sister, and they just come and they do and they take all. At that time, keep quiet. It's all right, no, never mind. Let she say. We know of situations, I would say it, then it's not to mock at anyone, that we make our Islam. Why we want to listen to bayan? How are we going to go as wives to Jannah? And how are we as husbands going to go to Jannah? The wife bakes for the husband, and she cooks for the husband. And the sister-in-laws come there, and what happens? Oh Allah, your baking is so nice. Allah, I must take this pen. Oh, my husband will be so happy after cake is gone. And the children come and they eat the other half. The poor wife is just looking, everything, what's happening here? So we have to be cautious. We know of mother-in-laws that go search the cupboard of the wife. They open the cupboard of the wife. The mother-in-law can't go in the room of the wife, of her son. The mother-in-law has got no right to enter into the very personal, private domain. If they are staying together, she's got her room. You know this thing about mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, they have rights both ways, both sides. Our Mawlana Masihullah mentioned, give the wife such a quarter if you can't afford a house, but her own room with her own little private exit and entry back door. That if she wants to go with her husband, she can comfortably without walking through the entire passage and everyone now walking, oh, there they go again. Because everyone wants to loaf, everyone wants to jump into the car, everyone wants to go to the for a drive. So let it be so separate that without any fear she can go. A little kitchenette on the side if she wants to make something. She's got a little, privacy. This is a tragedy. The mother-in-laws feel, you know what, it is my right. They go into the room, they open the cupboards. They examine what is in the cupboards. They go into the drawers of the pedestals where the bed is. They open there, they open their handbags. What akhlaq is this here? What deen is this here? What Islam is this here? What insaniyat is this here? And then they say, you know what? You are like my daughter. Call me Ma. You are like my daughter. You are my daughter. What's wrong with us? The mother-in-law, I'll say something. Kindness is what? Not food. Kindness is not food. You can get food from anywhere. Kindness is you give understanding where you don't understand. I can't understand my daughter-in-law, but I'm kind enough to entertain your viewpoint and to entertain what you've got to say without being bitter. When their own daughters say something, they don't get bitter. Even if they don't agree with it, they'll say, no, I don't agree. But they won't go calling names and screaming and shouting and becoming hysterical. So we have to be very careful. The mother-in-laws are also going to answer on the day of Qiyamah. Allah make all of us maaf. And the daughter-in-laws, I had mentioned enough, that mother-in-law has chosen you for being the wife of her son. So even if they are bad mannered, the husband has to make sure that I'm going to just keep quiet. She's got a right. Who must she go and say to? If she pick up that phone and phone her father and mother, see what happens to you. You'll get old before your time. And you'll think, you know what, she's disloyal. And how can she go and tell family stories? That's another thing. Some mother-in-laws, they impose. Make sure you don't, what is said in this house, make sure it doesn't go anywhere else. Then they make the zulm. With the tongue, they whoop the poor daughter-in-law. And they tie her up beforehand. Make sure you don't tell anyone. Make sure you don't tell your father. Make sure you don't tell your mother. And they call, and they make zulm upon zulm. Now that poor scared soul, she says, what must she do? She can't tell anyone. A dog also, you kick a dog, you poke a dog, the dog is going to bark. That dog, if he's not going to bite you, it's going to bark sooner or later. So why do we behave in this way? Fear Allah Ta'ala, to read namaz, mashallah. You to keep fast, mashallah. Shabi Barat, mashallah. No one says no. Go for Umrah, mashallah. Go for Hajj, mashallah. No problem. But if these ibadat can't break down their own nafs and make us understand that I'm going to answer to Allah Ta'ala, then you are doing what shaitan has done. A lot of namazes, salah, etc. You did lot, plenty. But you're not getting the khawf of Allah. Shaitan never had any khawf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah we will continue from here.